Hello, babes. How are you? My name is Moran. Welcome to my series, Getting Personal, where I gather different stories from Reddit. And today, our theme is old but gold. 2024 is finally ending. I don't know about you, but it was not a great year for me, and I'm glad to see it going out the door. And usually, about this time of year, I like to clean out my living spaces, my closet, and I wanted to clean out my saved folder on Reddit because I've got a lot of great stories that I just couldn't place in any of the previous themes, but they are awesome nonetheless. So today we are going over those. So without further ado, let's dive in. So this first one is 10 months old. Am I the asshole for hiding my wealth from my fiancé and his family? My fiancé, 28 male, is a doctor, and I, 28 female, work in finance. Both earn almost equal pay. Been together for a year and a half, got engaged a month ago, and are planning to have a wedding in 7 months. His family is full of doctors, while my dad owns a business, mom is a stay-at-home wife, and brother, along with his wife, are high school teachers. My parents still live in a small town house my grandfather bought since the two of them grew up there, fell in love, and had us. Plus, all their friends live there, basically emotional attachment. I never try to hide my wealth, just that I don't show off. For example, I prefer traveling by public transport because traffic and parking, while he drives a Range Rover. I have a Samsung, he makes fun of me for not owning an iPhone. I prefer not spending thousands of dollars on a dress I'm only going to wear once. I also enjoy eating fast food rather than going to a Michelin star restaurant. I admit I never really told them how much my dad earns, as I just felt it was unnecessary. Anyways, I think him and his family assumed my family doesn't have much money or something. After getting engaged, we went to his parents' house for dinner. While they asked me what I plan to do in the future, I replied that I'm planning to quit my job after the wedding and work for my dad. They kind of got confused, mad, weird, saying why would I quit such a high-paying job, and that if I'm planning to push all financial burdens on their son, well, they asked for a prenuptial agreement. I agreed. A couple of weeks ago, we started planning our wedding. In my culture, I am Indian, he's white. We have big weddings. That's the only place we show off our wealth. My parents were discussing about how they want to invite over 250 people from our side since I will be taking over the business and its networking, how they want to have two weddings, an Indian and a white one. Now, Indian weddings have a lot of functions spanning 3 to 4 days, all of which would preferably be hosted at 5-star hotels, or if we follow my dad, he wants to rent a castle. His parents demanded that if we want to have an expensive wedding, we will be the ones paying, to which my dad agreed, saying he was going to pay for everything, even if they didn't ask. As the wedding planning proceeded, my fiancé and his family realized we are spending way more than they can afford. I guess that's when it struck them that my dad's business isn't really as small as they expected it to be. They did a Google search and found his company online and his net turnover every year, which is on the website, and so on. Anyway, now his family is mad at me, saying why did I hide the fact that I'm this rich? I'm pretty sure they want to cancel the prenup. I am not going to do that now since it was their idea. Well, his mom is basically harassing me, saying I misled their family and that I am an asshole for trying to hide my wealth for so long. So, am I? No, honey, they got what they deserved because they went around assuming things about you and your family which they shouldn't have done. I don't know how you are somehow in the wrong here because it's all on their judgmental we have edit/info. My fiance has had a basic idea of my family's wealth. He knows about my dad's business. The in-laws did not. He agreed to the prenup when his mom brought it up first. We had a talk about it and came to conclusion it would be good for both of us. Yes, he agreed to it despite knowing my family is wealthier. He is not on his mother's side. They aren't really close. I guess that's the reason he never told his family about my family's finances. He did talk to her and has been defending me. It's just the constant remarks from her make me feel a little guilty, wondering if I did something wrong. I just wish to have a good relation with my in-laws, but she's making it seem impossible. Postscriptum, I know my dad's wealth isn't mine. That is the reason I don't spend so much. As I said, I'm planning to quit my job and take over his business, hence my mother-in-law sees his assets as mine. Well, they certainly aren't hers, and that's really what matters. And I think the prenup is good in this case, considering that the in-laws are proving themselves to be kind of greedy, and their behavior is very sus because they suddenly want to cancel the prenup. Protect your money, protect your dad's business, it's his legacy, and the in-laws definitely don't have any claim over that, and you did nothing wrong. It's like they just assumed you were poorer than them for some reason, ran with it, and they played a stupid game and won a stupid prize. So, don't see a problem. The top comment here is not so they thought you were a gold digger. You protected yourself and family from gold diggers by not flaunting your wealth. You and your fiance are well off. What is the issue? You are both protected by a prenup. That's also true, and I have to note I like the fiance in this case because he's actually on her side and is protecting her from his mom, which is a very, very good and decent thing to do. So all the happiness to this couple, and mom sounds like a nightmare, so yeah, prenup is probably a good idea. Anyway, the next story we have is 7 months old. Am I the asshole for telling my husband that he should marry sister-in-law if he's simping over her like that? I don't know if my husband is doing this on purpose or if he can't control himself, but he knows that it bothers me and still does it. He thinks the sun shines out of sister-in-law's. Nothing she says or does is wrong. When we visit, he would talk about her for 3 to 4 days afterwards, like he's in a trance. We visited last weekend to see the new baby. I swear he was paying more attention to her and the baby than he ever did with me and any of our children. He was complimenting everything from how she looked, how clean the house was, the delicious food, how she even made the bread, how she remembered our favorite dishes, snacks, and desserts. You are a superwoman. I literally had it with him and said enough a couple of times, but he just ignored me and she just giggled all the time and welcomed the compliments. Now he has been talking about how great and perfect she is since we got home. I had enough, so I told him to go her if he's so in love. He looked at me with no expression and said, very mature. I broke down and asked why he was doing this, knowing that I'm completely the opposite of her to a degree that we aren't even close. He knows we're the opposite of each other. I'm not Little Miss Perfect. I don't clean the windows while my infant is sleeping. I don't cook and clean when I have just given birth, and I sure can't lose my baby weight in 3 weeks. Why is he so insensitive to my feelings? Even if it is true and I'm just jealous and my jealousy is unfounded, isn't me being hurt and uncomfortable enough for someone who's supposed to love me to just stop? It should be enough. I think even if it's unfounded and you are not saying that he should just stop seeing sister-in-law and like his brother or whatever, I don't know on which side of the family this is happening, but like it should be enough if you ask him repeatedly, please don't do that, don't comment on that constantly. He should stop if he really loves you. What he's doing is definitely not okay. He constantly talks about your sister-in-law, comparing almost the two of you, because he points out the specific areas where you don't do these things. So, it's feeling kind of pointed. Maybe he's just that ignorant, that selfish, that insensitive that he doesn't realize what he's doing. But it kind of looks to me like she's almost his dream woman. He idolizes her. And sometimes people do that, when they turn a person into this myth of themselves and they put them on a pedestal and they cannot stop being infatuated. Maybe this is what's happening, and the further it goes, the more he is infatuated and the more you're hurt. And it's very upsetting to me that he will just not stop even after many, many requests. We have an update. So my husband has admitted that he has feelings for sister-in-law. This time I didn't just relent and move on from our last fight. I wanted to go to the bottom of this. I told him I wasn't finished with this conversation and that I wanted him to tell me the truth. Yes, he wants me to clean and cook more, but that wasn't just it. First he said it was just a crush, a fantasy. Then he said it was feelings. He didn't understand why I was so upset. I asked him to tell me his private feelings. He didn't volunteer them. Nobody knows what people really feel, and even married people can have crushes and feelings about others. They were just that, private feelings. Except he does actually act on them. Maybe he thinks that physical cheating is the only way people act on feelings, but he's wrong. In fact, he acted on them so blatantly that it set the red flags off. He promised that he will be better and never hurt me again. The question is, will he be better in getting rid of his feelings or learn how to hide them better next time? And what difference does it make to me? If he is respectful and loving on the outside, do I have the right to control his inside too? How do we know where our boundaries end and theirs start? How do I move on? First of all, it baffles me that he doesn't understand why you're upset. It's like you literally admitted to your wife you have a crush on the other woman, and it's like, well, yeah, she will be upset. You're supposed to love her, not your sister-in-law. Also, married people can have crushes and feelings and stuff, but if you want to keep your marriage and keep it happy, you have the responsibility to snuff that crush out, to try to bond with your partner more, to keep it under control, because the more you give in to those feelings, the more likely you are to absolutely demolish your marriage. So no, he has a very strange position of like, oh well, I just have them. I just love this woman. Why are you upset? That is not the way to go about it. And if I were the OP, I would also be super concerned because, yeah, are you over her or are you just hiding this from me? Here, I feel like the only way to go about it is to observe, maybe take a little distance from sister-in-law, let some time lapse between him seeing her again. Maybe that will help him cool it down. Observe how he is with you, how he is with kids, then observe how he will be around her next time, and then judge for yourself. Also, I feel like this is one of those moments where marriage counseling could be a good idea because the therapist can help him see it in a perspective that you can't necessarily explain to him. So there is that. And the top comment here is, well, he likes your sister-in-law. I guess for him to get over his crush, he should create some distance between himself and sister-in-law. But does he actually want to? Does he have a problem with this crush? Because if he's fine with the way things are, you gotta start packing up. If he's genuinely remorseful, then I understand. But if he's fine with it, then you shouldn't stay with him. That is also true. There is a very big element to bettering the relationship is the willingness of both people. If he's he's just saying all these things for you to lay off him, but inside he's still absolutely fine simping over sister-in-law, then it's unlikely to change into something better. You know what I mean? It's just probably gonna get worse. He will repress those feelings or hide them from you, but if he doesn't genuinely want to get rid of them, there is nothing you can do. And yes, you cannot control his insights, you cannot control his thoughts and feelings, but you have to judge for yourself how much you're ready to put up with, and you have to see what you mean to him in this whole equation. Let's see the next story. This one is extra vintage. It's 2 years old. Am I the for not acting impressed by my wife's accomplishment? My 28 male wife, 26 female, and I have been married for close to 7 years. We currently have 5 kids together, 6 male, 4 male, 3 female, and my wife gave birth to fraternal twins a year and a half ago, son and a daughter. My wife intended to graduate high school the year we got married, but life got in the way. My dad had given me an investor relations type of role at his company, so we were traveling a lot, and then after that our kids needed our attention. After our twins were born, my wife was bedridden for longer than we and even the doctors expected. Since we had to hire extra hands to do the childcare tasks that involved mobility, my wife had some time on her hands. Her mother told her that her friend who proctors at a testing center said that they give GED tests basically every week, at least across the state of Idaho, and that she should dust off her general education knowledge. She started browsing her laptop and decided to enroll in a GED prep class online. It seems she was better at self-paced learning than classroom learning, because the stuff they were testing her on came way easier to her now than it did then, even though she's been away from structured classroom instruction for many years now. Even after she was back on her feet, she'd be studying for it after she dropped the older two off to their respective schools. I would see that she was studying and it looked pretty rudimentary, and I knew that getting a GED basically means nothing and that she probably wouldn't be able to apply it to anything career-wise or commit full-time to community college, where I doubt the job prospects for students are that great right now either. So my wife ended up taking the test, and the other day she bounded into the room and said, "Yes, I passed, I passed." I knew she would, since she was doing well on the practice test, and the GED consistently tests on the same rudimentary topics. I did not gripe at her, but merely nodded at her and went back to answering an important email from a client. My wife seemed to get upset, and I asked her what was wrong. She said I didn't seem that excited, and I said that it's great that she passed, but I have been telling her that it was easy and no big deal. But if she needed something to prove to herself she knew the high school concepts, I guess the money was well spent. She got even more upset and said she worked very hard, and this was the essential building blocks to being able to start a career. Am I the my wife passed her GED test, but she wasn't exactly graduating from college and wouldn't be for at least 15 years. I just didn't see any immediate applicability to her test, but I'm glad she had something to challenge her while she was coming off being unable to fully care for the kids. My main thing here is I hate this man, and I hate people like him. They think they're so much better than everybody else, and nobody's achievement is actually an achievement unless it's like going to space or earning $10,000 million or whatever. I'm bad at math, but you know what I mean. It's terrible. She worked while being unable to care for their kids. So I would suppose there was something bad happening during birth. You know, she probably had a traumatic experience, and instead of just chilling in bed, she decided to do something useful, and she studied hard, and she got back to education, and she passed the test, and she was so proud, as she should be, because she got pregnant and that prevented her from actually finishing her studies, and now she's going back to it. But oh no, this fucking man cannot even acknowledge that it's impressive that she dropped out of school and then she went back, studied, and passed her test. A lot of people, I feel like, would not go back. They don't have the time or the determination to do that. Yes, life happens, and sometimes you drop out of college, sometimes you drop out of high school, and then you mean to go back and you never do, and you might regret it, and it's harder when you are older. If you ask me to learn school curriculum right now, ain't no fucking way I'm getting that. I'm too old for that shit. I had to pass GRE when I was like 22 or something because I wanted to apply to US universities, and that was the requirement for PhD application. And believe me when I tell you, my mind squeaked in panic all the way through preparation because the math section was just a nightmare for me. Okay, I was not getting it. I barely got it in high school, but when you are older, you forgot all of that and it's not your area of expertise, and now you have to go back and learn all of those functions, X and Y and whatever. It's so hard. It is an achievement. She spent her time and effort to do that, and you couldn't even be glad for her. I just get upset over this so much because me and my husband both kind of grew up in an environment where people are being super chill about basic achievements. No matter what you do, you're never like good enough and you're never impressive enough unless you're like an A-list celebrity or curing cancer. I wish people were more sensitive to other people's efforts. Like, it's not that hard to support a person. It's not that hard to be happy for them. Anyway, let's move to the next story. Am I tall for telling my friend all that matters is she's happy when she asked if I liked her plastic surgery? So I, 34 female, have a childhood best friend, Cordelia, 32 female. Cordelia was always one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen, but she's always had severe self-esteem issues. Recently, with the buccal fat removal trend, she's been enamored by it. She swore up and down she was gonna save up for it because she doesn't like her round face. It wasn't round or big at all. She finally saved up the money and flew to LA to get the surgery, and this week she was healed enough to see some results. Me personally, I think the people who get that procedure look bad, but my opinion does not matter because if that is what makes them happy, that is literally all that matters. Beauty is subjective, and as long as you love yourself, no one else's opinions are relevant. Cordelia and I had brunch today, and she asked me what I thought of her results. I told her the doctor did a good job at the surgery and I'm glad to see her happy. She continued on and we were chatting, but then she brought it up again, asking me how I thought she looked. I once again told her that the surgery was very well done and that it looks exactly the way she wanted. Cordelia got upset and asked me why I wasn't giving her a straight answer and asked me if I thought it made her prettier. I told her that she's always been a beautiful woman and that the glow she has from the confidence it's giving her is a good look. She told me to tell her if I thought she was pretty or not, and I said your opinion is the only one that matters. It's your face and I'm happy you achieved your goal. I personally don't like the look of it on anyone, but it's none of my business because it's not my face. You were beautiful before doing it. Cordelia threw a fit and poured her mimosa on me and told me I was a jealous and petty bitch. I didn't mean to hurt her feelings. I don't know why she wanted my opinion so badly or why she couldn't accept my answer, but I definitely feel like the asshole. So am I the asshole? Not even a little bit. This is just a sad, sad situation. Your friend was an in here, obviously, with the name calling and with the pestering and then with pouring her drink on you. It's just weird to throw a tantrum like that over not even a rude comment. And I mean, throwing tantrums like that is never good in general, but I am so impressed by your ability to phrase these things so nicely. Like, I would have broken probably by the third time she questioned me, but you were like, the glow she has from the confidence it's given her is a good look. Wow. I just think she wanted the confirmation from you and praise from you because she feels not that secure in herself and about this procedure specifically. And I feel really sorry for her. She seems that she has a lot of issues concerning her appearance. It probably causes her a lot of anguish, but it doesn't in any way excuse her horrendous behavior in here. So there's that. And the top comment is not the she's incredibly insecure, and no amount of surgery or reassurance on your part will change that. I honestly feel very sorry for her. The way she kept pushing for your approval, you'd almost get the idea she was into you or something. She needs therapy more than anything, and if I were you, I wouldn't be afraid to let her know. There is a deeper reasoning as to why she can't be okay with herself, and it's beyond anything you can do. The OP response to that, I've never understood why she was so insecure, but then again, I think everyone is unhappy with themselves. But I have tried in the past talking her into therapy, but she would always say she'd be wasting money for a woman in cheap pantyhose to tell her the same things I do. Okay, interesting and unnecessarily savage take on therapists. Also, your friends are not free therapists. Okay, some people don't mind being that, but generally should not perceive them as that. Your friends are there to support you, to sometimes give you advice, but they are not equipped to give you objective guidance and help you through more serious things in your life. So, not the same. Please don't use your friends as free therapists. We're all people, we're all in it for free, into friendships, and you should be mindful of that. But going back to this topic, it actually reminds me of a friend I used to have for nearly 10 years. She was very beautiful, like hands down, striking, gorgeous. And I always felt insecure next to her because, well, I generally don't think I'm pretty. And next to her, I was always like, yeah, she's beautiful. She's prettier than me. And like, I never was jealous or anything like that. I just thought of it as a fact. And then years and years and years later, I learned that she was insecure about her appearance and thought that she's ugly. And I'm like, what? That is so confusing. But then I thought back on it, and her family was horrible to her. They were bullying her, calling her names. And, with that added context, you can perfectly get how a very beautiful person can have this distorted perception of themselves. Same as with me, my family did make a lot of negative comments about my appearance when I was growing up, and that did not do anything good for my mental health. Yeah, it's sad when a person doesn't realize, isn't aware that they have this issue, and so they don't have motivation to deal with it and work through it. And sadly, you will never be fully happy with yourself unless you work through that and learn to love yourself or find ways to deal with this deep-seated hatred for yourself and dislike for your face or your body, because, well, you live in this body and you have to come to terms with it one way or another, whether it be therapy, whether it be surgery, whether it be improvements. But this story actually showcases that no amount of surgery can help you and can cure you of this unless you work on it here. Okay, so the story is kind of a bummer. Let's see the last one I have for you today. My fiance told her friend group that I am not the greatest at sex, but she is with me for the complete package. Am I wrong for calling off the engagement? I, 27 male, have been engaged to my fiance Amy, 26 female, for a year and was in a relationship with her for 5 years. We were due to be married this August. Now, I'm also friends with Kylie, 26, female. We have been friends for a very long time, pretty much since we were babies, and we're almost like siblings at this point because her mother and my mother were best friends since they were in high school. Anyways, Kylie is part of the same tight-knit friend group as Amy. I always try to ask Kylie what Amy tells about me because I know women like to discuss about their boyfriends with their friend group. Kylie is usually tight-lipped, but if she does say anything, she always says how Amy loves me a lot and how Amy is so excited about marriage. Last month, I hung out with Kylie and her boyfriend at their house. Amy and I usually hang out with them for dinners, but Amy had gone out of town for a couple of days. Anyways, we all got pretty drunk and laughing a lot, and I was begging Kylie to tell me one bad thing Amy has told about me to her friends. After a lot of pleading, Kylie finally said that one thing Amy had joked about was how she had better sex before and I was not the greatest at sex, but that she was with me for the complete package because she doesn't care about sex too much. I was drunk then, so I just laughed it off, but I felt somewhat stunned then. The next day, when I got sober, I felt extremely stunned. I thought about it a lot, and when Amy came back from her vacation, I asked her about it casually. She initially denied it and said we always have amazing sex and she's always satisfied. I told her it really wouldn't hurt me if she told me the truth and marriage was built on honesty, so I asked her again a couple of times. Amy finally admitted that she did in fact say that I was not the best at sex to her friend group, but she was just joking about it because I had so many other great qualities she wanted to highlight. I laughed it off initially, but that stunned me even more. I couldn't hide my mood the next couple of days. I felt sad and felt like Amy apologized a lot and said she did not mean what she said. A couple of days later, I told Amy I could no longer be with her, and what she told her friend group hurt me too much. I informed everyone over the next week that I was calling off the wedding. Amy was distraught and tried to convince me multiple times and apologized a lot, but I was too mentally downtrodden. Was I wrong for calling off the engagement and breaking up with Amy? Kinda, yeah. I mean, if you can't in good conscience say that you will ever get over this comment, then probably you shouldn't get married because you will hold this grudge and you will resent her and whatnot. But generally, this whole thing seems absurd to me. Men will be so focused on their ego, especially when it comes to sex, that they have this like all or nothing mentality because, honey, what do you think is gonna happen when you find another woman? Do you think you will just magically become a sex god? Because that's not how it works. If you learned your partner is not 100% satisfied with your sex life, then maybe instead of being childish and just breaking off the whole relationship over this, you could try working on that. Proficiency at sex is not like an eye collar. It's not something that you are born with. It's something that you learn. Why does that never occur to men? I feel like it rarely does because, you know, as women, we are encouraged sometimes by like weird people to read how we can please our man, how we can do this and that, and lingerie and makeup, and how we should be in bed and then nice at home and whatever, you know, all of that sexist weird bullshit. But I haven't heard much about men being encouraged to like go and learn how to give oral sex properly, how to properly. They are just thinking that they will magically be good at it. It's crazy to me. The top comment here was a bit of a crazy idea here, but you could have instead, I don't know, maybe asked your fiance what you could do together to improve the sex. I want to add here that it's not great that she told this to her friends, and it's kind of a cruel joke, I feel like, because, well, he learned about it and he was super hurt, and I don't think it's good to talk your partner like that. I don't think what she did was good, but I also don't think it's a great idea to just dump her over it. Anyways, these were all the stories I had for you today. Please let me know in the comments what you thought. Don't forget to like and subscribe. It will help me immensely. Thank you so much for watching. If you're still here, though I doubt it, I will see you with the next video at some point in the future. Bye.